चलिए, let's talk about boredom. You know, yesterday I was with a friend and we decided to explore the Himalayas. So we went to the foothills to an unknown place near Kasauli, which is a hill station in the Himachal. And the day was quite eventful. It was thrilling, exciting, discovering new places, eating food, meeting new people, interacting with uh, pets, and overall enjoying the mountain scenery. Beautiful, serene, calming. And also, there were some other adventures like, you know, swinging and other things. So, after that eventful day, we returned home. And then, next day, we didn't have anything to do. So the day felt dull and boring. And me and my friend, we were reflecting on this, that why are we so afraid of boredom? Now, I can usually see conditioning in people where they immediately want to avoid being bored. So, for example, if there is no electricity, which is very common in Indian households, they would like to run off to a mall, a shopping mall, or some place where they can actually cut time. Or, it could be like they could go to watch a movie or go for socialization. But then again, there is only limited time to do all of that. Whereas the electric cuts are longer, for longer durations. So, from what I see, is there is usually this impulse, this reaction towards a situation. Okay, there's no electricity, so the gadgets are not going to work, and there's not much to do around the house. So let's just try to find another adventure. And there's nothing wrong with that as such. But you see, if we don't address the fundamental issue of boredom in our life, there is no pathway to peace. Because here's the thing, life is going to be boring, and that boring life has to be embraced. The moment we try to create thrill or excitement, thinking that if we don't do that, our life is meaningless, then we will very likely be disappointed, because thrill, excitement, all those things, they last for a very short duration, whereas boredom remains with you all the time. Usually, when I get up in the morning, I have nothing to do, and also in the evening, I have nothing to do. No hobbies, just walking. I walk most of the time. And in that, I completely embrace the boredom that presents itself. It can be as a feeling, it can come up sometimes as an emptiness. Whatever it shows me, I watch. I simply watch without judgment, without reaction, trying to change anything. And that itself brings so much peace. Because you see, every single day is not going to be a blissful day. But what lies beyond boredom is pure bliss. Therefore, in life, your partner is going to be boring, because no matter how beautiful romantic partner you choose in your life, at some point you will get bored of certain things. You will have a boring job wherever you're working, because most of the job means repetition of the same tasks over and over again. So it is not that every day you're going to have something creative done in your day. There will be mundane days where nothing will be done or nothing significant or thrilling will happen. It's the same stuff, same routine. Similarly, all your chores like cleaning, washing, doing your workouts, whatever you do in life, or watching TV for that matter, even the movies sometimes may feel boring. So there is no escape from the boring life or boredom. But that boredom is a powerful pointer to awakening. Because when you learn to sit with your boredom and observe it fully and see what it is, that is when you learn to totally accept yourself without trying to modify things around you to bring you pleasure or happiness. In other words, you recognize that happiness is not a state of mind. Happiness simply is there. It is eternity. So it is not that you become happy through activities, but happiness is just there in everything, including the boredom. Now, for people like artists or creative people, especially, for them, embracing boredom is actually very, very important. Why? Because most of their creative juices flow when they are able to hit that threshold of pain beyond which some grand, great ideas come into their consciousness. As a result, they give expression to those things and art comes out. So, for a performer, let's say for a singer or for a dancer, doing the same routines on a daily basis consistently can feel boring. Sometimes they would say that we want to try new things, but the mastery of the skill, whatever they're trying to master, it comes through repetition. If, let's say, you're a writer, you write every day. So the mastery comes with writing every day. You don't have to wait for something exciting to happen, somebody coming you and teaching you how to write excellently. You can simply just write or just learn to express yourself. So over time, with repetition, the voice gets refined. You know, all the thinking that is associated with trying to escape the boredom begins to dissolve, and the working mind, the creative mind starts to get evolved. And the working mind, the creative mind, as I have often discussed in my other talks, is impersonal. In other words, there is no you doing the activity, but the activity is happening. So it is a surrender to the universe that whatever you bring in this given moment, even if it's boredom, even if I have nothing to do, I will do nothing. And from that nothingness, a lot of things start happening. That is why many masters say that if you do nothing, you end up doing something more valuable, more significant than when you were trying to do something. But when you try to do something, to escape boredom, to escape the mundane, because let's face it, mundane life is tough life. Cleaning the same utensils, same spot, same areas over and over again can feel draining, can make you question, what am I doing? Going to the same place to work, working on the same kinds of reports, appearing in front of the same people, giving the same explanations, can also feel mundane. And it does question one, what exactly am I doing here? And that is precisely the midlife crisis or spiritual crisis, call it whatever you want to, it hits people generally in their midlife. Because now they see it is futile. There is no escape from boredom. Boredom is not your enemy. Boredom is your pointer to wholeness. It is in your avoidance that you begin to experience pain. Because When you try to avoid a certain situation, you try to borrow happiness externally, that is very short lived. So you may go, let's say, um, to a shopping mall, you may buy a bunch of clothes, good accessories, and nothing wrong with any of this, by the way. We're not discussing here anything from the perspective of right and wrong. You are the master of your life, you live the way you want to. Let nobody tell you what is right and wrong. I'm simply examining what is happening. So, what is happening right now is to escape the boredom. Why do you want to escape the boredom? Because you don't want to stay with yourself. And what is that self? That self is an image. That image that has been brought about through a lot of social conditioning, environmental conditioning. So, you're not willing to face that image, you're not willing to investigate who you are, you try to escape boredom. As a result, you create activities. And in that, you get caught up in the movement temporarily, thinking that is happiness. So maybe buying a piece of clothing or going to a fancy restaurant to eat. Again, nothing wrong with that. But when we do that to escape something, we are creating a divide. Divide between what is and what should be. And that divide is responsible for our unhappiness in life. The satisfaction, the fulfillment has to be embraced in the boredom, because beyond boredom is stillness, is peace, is the security and safety that you truly crave. Escaping the boredom, there is no security, there is no safety. So let boredom be your guide. And I had this discussion with my friend, and we came to this conclusion that when we don't fight with the universe begins to cooperate. Not by necessarily putting things in order for us the way we want it, but by simply bringing us to our own place of peace and tranquility, which is our beingness, which is way more vaster than the universe. So, this is something I will address in our next talk.